Greetings, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to make just a few comments about this last week's assignment on the topic of reliability, validity, and measures of performance. I'd like to talk a little bit about next week's assignment as well and kind of set up some things for you on experimental design and threats to validity, and then make just a few brief comments about our first small group assignment. So, first topic I'd like to talk about real quickly with you is I was really, again, this week impressed with the content of your reports and your comments to one another on the topic of reliability, of validity, and measures of performance. I know these materials get pretty complicated, but really what I want you to remember is that as a general rule, reliability refers to the accuracy and consistency of procedures and measures of performance in a study over time. Or in other words, do the study instruments measure what we consistently anyway, or measure in a consistent way the variables over a period of time. Validity, however, is a little bit different. It's really aimed at whether a study measures what we really want it to measure, and are the results of the study appropriate and applicable. So keep those distinctions in mind, if you will. This next week's assignment that I'm going to talk about in just a minute kind of builds upon what we've done this last week. Please remember, though, that the presence of reliability and validity is really not an all or nothing thing, and there are degrees of validity and reliability. Obviously, the higher the reliability and the higher the validity, the more applicable and the more consistent are the results of the study, and the better, well, the better the study is, if you want to call it that, for sure. Please take a moment to look at my general feedback comments on this last assignment. I've posted those in the Module 2 feedback link. I know that many people are reading those, and I've been talking with everyone, or not everyone, but several students this last week about comments and ways that we can improve some things in our assignments. So make sure you take a look at those. I also try to use those comments to reinforce the learning that we are engaging in each week. Finally, make sure that you take a look at the comments in the Grade Center as well. I made some comments again this last week on APA format. Overall, I think we're making commendable progress in terms of applying the APA format, and everyone is really improving over time. Again, you're going to say that I'm a real stickler for APA. Sorry about that. I apologize for that up front. But if you get into publications, if you read publications, we really need to be consistent, be really compulsive about your proofreading on the format. Also, the last comment about format is that make sure that you take a look at the revised reference list capitalization rules. I've kind of changed horses in midstream this semester, and are using an updated format, actually the correct format. The format that I gave you at the beginning of the coursework, or the course, was based upon an older APA format. And so anyway, I haven't taken off any points for the non-capitalization, if you will, but please take a look at that. I'm going to start doing that. It's about the third week I've talked about that, so make sure you pay attention to that capitalization. And again, if you have any questions about APA format, be sure and let me know. This next week, then, the second thing I wanted to talk about is that I'm going to be asking you to locate an experimental research study of interest to you and answer some questions about it. Now, a couple things about experimental studies. Remember that there are two types of study, general types of study. There's experimental and descriptive. Experimental studies really manipulate a variable, and that's the difference. And so you want to make sure you find an experimental study that manipulates a variable. There are two different kinds of experimental studies. There is the true experimental study, and there's the quasi-experimental study. And again, I'd refer you to our research typology for some specifics about that. But anyway, make sure you find an experimental study for this particular assignment. Hints on where to look, I would suggest looking at ERIC. You can certainly look at the links in our external links portion of our Blackboard site to the REL sites. if you like, or the library resources that you'll find under the Syllabus and Start Here tab anyway. Any of those resources will get you started. One other hint that I would give you is that this may not be a bad time to start looking at studies that are of interest to you regarding your research, mock research project topic. This will kind of get you a leg up, if you will, on starting the research for your mock research project. Again, I've corresponded with many of you about potential topics, and I'm really excited about some of the things that you're going to be exploring this semester. Okay, one other thing then about this assignment is that as you think about this assignment, I'm going to ask you to first of all summarize the study that you find in your Blackboard post this week. And then also I want you to make sure that you take a look at internal and external validity threats. And if you go into the textbook, you will find that really the external validity or threats to external validity can be found really under the topic 39 tab. And really what we're talking about external validity is to whom and under what circumstances can the results of the research study be generalized. And I would contrast this to internal validity, where internal validity really talks about the ideas, does the treatment in the experiment really cause the required change? And that's, you can find that on in topic 38 in the textbook. Then I'd also like you to make sure you try to categorize the methodology or the research design for this study. And again, there's lots of information about research designs in topics 37, 40, and 41 this week. Try to find a match to a design for a study and talk about why that is. And then talk about confounding effects, which are in topic 42. Again, I won't get into a lot of more detail here, but please do the best you can to read through the textbook readings and apply those to the study that you will be evaluating this week. Again, let me know if you have concerns or questions about where you might find a study or any of the information in this assignment. Finally, make sure that you take a look again at the small group project assignment. I talked about this last week in the first group, small group assignment tab, and you should be able to find your groups, get into the discussion board with your groups. One other thing that I've done this week is I've set up the Google Docs for each one of the small groups to use, and you should have received from me an invitation to participate in the Google Doc for your group. If for some reason you've not received that, please let me know. It means we've probably got a bad email address or something else is going on, but you're going to need to be able to get into Google Docs. I think you'll find that as you proceed with this assignment and some other group assignments later in the semester, that you'll find that Google Docs is really a good way to kind of work together and write together online. Some groups in the past have chosen a specific time to get on Google Docs together, and at that point you can kind of use the it's almost like an instant messaging system, if you will, that you can talk back and forth. That's certainly not required, but I would suggest explore Google Docs. There's an outline in your Google Doc to kind of help guide where you how you're going to respond to this assignment, but use it in any way that you find useful to you. Okay, really that kind of covers everything for right now. Have a great week, everyone, and be sure and let me know if you have questions or concerns about anything related to the class. Take care.